Welcome to Hannity. And breaking tonight, it is official. The Texas House has approved a new congressional map, which could net Republicans up to 5 additional seats in the very important midterm elections in 2026. And if Democrats turn this into a nationwide redistricting fight, which I hope they do, they will lose badly, as there is little to nothing left for them to gerrymander in blue states. And congratulations to Governor Greg Abbott. A job well done. We'll have more on that straight ahead tonight. Also, White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, our friend, just diagnosed one of the worst political problems in D.C. Right on the money. Take a look.
So we're going to ignore these stupid white hippies that all need to go home and take a nap because they're all over 90 years old.
Now, today, some of those ultra-privileged hippies were not happy to see members of the Trump administration in Union Station. They are deeply appalled by the president's efforts to keep them safe and secure. We got that exchange coming up. But we begin tonight in the beautiful state of California. If you want a glimpse into what America would become if a radical Democrat wins the White House, pay very close attention. Despite what is a vast, stunning natural resources in California, great weather, beautiful geography, beautiful oceans, the Golden State has become totally unlivable for so many Americans. After years of Democratic one-party rule, Californians, look at these numbers. They are fleeing the state in droves, with the largest net migration in the entire country. It even recently lost a congressional seat for the first time ever and is projected to lose at least 4 more seats by 2030. So let us be clear. The state's radical Democratic agenda, led by our old friend Gavin Newsom, is to blame for all of this. Unfortunately, that might be news to Gavin. His attention seems to be elsewhere, embarrassing himself, running for president. In fact, he's now so totally fixated and focused on doing whatever he can do to win his party's 2028 nomination. It's like he changes every single hour of every day, and frankly, it's getting hard to watch. Even morning liberal Joe agrees with me. Now, currently, he and his social media team, they are busy trying to mock President Trump on X by posting messages in all caps. He's trying to pretend to be Donald Trump. Gavin is also attacking Fox News hosts. He's trying to bait conservatives into social media fights. He's actually referred to our own Tommy Laren's account as Yelp for toilets. Gee, very clever and funny. She'll join us in a moment to respond. Gavin, look, I know Gavin. In person, he can be a very likable guy. I know he's slick. I got it. I've got his number. But unfortunately, it is his radical policies. That's where the disaster is for him. Pretending to be President Trump is not only embarrassing, it will not negate the disastrous policies and positions and the horrible state that California is in. Now, that includes Gavin's campaign to woo conservatives. First, he was going to be a podcaster and interview Steve Bannon and Charlie Kirk. That didn't work out after he got caught, of course, in an embarrassing lie, actually one after another. Take a look.
The Latinx stuff that, by the way, not one person ever in my office has ever used the word Latinx.
So can we finally put that to bed?
Yeah,
we agree?
Where did that even
No more Latinx, everybody.
Well, I just didn't even know where it came from. I'm like, what are people talking about?
I hope we can really paint a picture in terms of our consciousness of how impactful this has been on the Latinx community. About 3/4 of renters in the state that have fallen behind in rent, represented in the Latino and African-American community, the Latinx and Black communities. You've got politicians that are banning not assault rifles, but the word Latinx. They're not even serious.
And it gets worse from there. Now, Gavin, you're not going to listen to me, but maybe you'll consider focusing on your day job, maybe help end crime, homelessness, lower taxes. People in your state are way overtaxed. Help the people in the Pacific Palisades rebuild. Maybe have some water in the hydrants and the reservoir. Sadly, everything for Newsom is just a political stunt or a political game. His end goal is he thinks this might make him president. He's more Trump-like, but he's not Trump. It's not making life better for people in California. A huge political miscalculation, but Gavin doesn't listen to me. His views as governor have changed year after year. Based on polling and trends, his views will also change during any Democratic primary. If nominated, his views will likely change yet again during a general election, but his record will forever haunt him. The country will be faced with the question if he's the nominee. Do you want America to become California? He just spent, the last several weeks bashing President Trump over the Texas redistricting fight while threatening to gerrymander his own state even more. Not that there's much left to gerrymander. Of course, this very public political battle doesn't help the people of California at all. It doesn't even help the Democratic Party. Helps nobody. It hurts Gavin Newsom. It's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for him. But Gavin Newsom doesn't care. His sole focus appears to be his own political career on the national stage. Now, if you want to have a job, a new job, what's the best way to get a promotion? Simple. Be great at your current job. And the really sad part is now California is getting left in the dust. When you cut through all the clutter and all the gimmicks and all the performative stunts and all the transformations, Gavin the podcaster, Gavin acting like Trump, this is Newsom's record. That will be at the heart of any campaign he runs in the future, should he ever run. Anyway, assuming he does run for president. Let's start with something he's really sensitive about, and that is his many failures surrounding horrific wildfires in Southern California. After all, shouldn't the buck stop with the governor? On January 7th, firefighters, they showed up to protect their communities bravely, only to discover that there was no water. The state's water supply had been totally mismanaged. A key reservoir was empty. Critical fire hydrants were non-operational, no water in them. As a result, entire neighborhoods burned to the ground all the way to the ocean. Look at this disaster. And according to the LA Times, nearly 13,000 households were displaced from the sky. All you could see was block after block after block. Look at this disaster of charred rubble. And remember, wildfires, Santa Ana winds, California. I did live in Southern California for 5 years. All of it is predictable, a predictable event. You can prepare for that. And here's where things get much worse. Out of the thousands and thousands of homes that were burned to the ground, only 145 successfully receiving permits to rebuild more than 7 months later. And this is just the process to begin construction, not even rebuilding your home. According to one developer, quote, building a house in L.A. can mean filing paperwork with a half a dozen or more government agencies. Most homeowners haven't even been able to start this process because 7 months after the fire, California officials have yet to finalize all the rules and regulations surrounding rebuilding efforts. And anyway, here is more of Gavin's record. And if you want America to be California, then guess what? This is what America would look like if a radical Democrat is elected. As governor of California, he is home to has the largest homeless population in the entire country, far worse, for example, than my free state of Florida, both in terms of sheer numbers and per capita. In every major city across the state, sidewalks, they're lined with tents, open-air drug use, public defecation, urination. Look at your screen. Right on this, here on this program during his debate with Gavin Newsom, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Remember, he pulled out that San Francisco poop map, charting out all of the sightings of human waste in the city, in the streets. As you can see, the map is almost all brown. Now, this is a massive failure from a state that collects more taxes than any other state in the country. Look at your screen. Comparing California's tax rates, the income tax rate, it is the highest in the country. Sales tax rate, also the highest in the country. Corporate tax rate, the 6th highest in the country. The state's gas tax is by far the highest in the country, and it just went up again in 2025. Now, instead of solving these real problems, improving the state of California as governor, he's choosing to spend his days doing a ridiculous, inauthentic, cheap imitation of President Trump without success after failing as a podcaster who wants to get along with conservatives. And meanwhile, California's violent crime rate is way above the national average, more than double the rate in my free state of Florida. So where are all the Golden State's tax dollars going? Here's just one egregious example. Take a look.
We have an actual number of illegal immigrant health care that the state taxpayers are covering in this year's budget.
Guadalupe Manriquez with the California Department of Finance. So in the current year, to cover undocumented individuals in Medi-Cal, we're spending $9.5 billion total funds.
So it's not the $6 billion that people continue to talk about in the media. It's $9.5 billion.
Was a Budget Act number. This is a revised number based on the governor's budget updated estimates.
Now, the governor has been luring unvetted illegal immigrants to his sanctuary state for years with protections, generous handouts. And why doesn't California keep statistics of illegal immigrant crime in that state? How many innocent Californians have been murdered and raped and victims of violent crime because of these insane aid and abetting policies? And in case you're wondering, California, the highest tax state in the country, is now facing a $10+ billion budget deficit. How's that possible? So, Gavin, keep playing make-believe Donald Trump and let your state suffer. And sadly, we see the same thing in almost every other deep blue state. Americans, they've had enough. Look at the New York Times report. Quote, the Democratic Party faces a voter registration crisis. The party is bleeding support beyond the ballot box. A new analysis shows, look at the graph, in all red, blue states and battleground states, the Democratic Party is losing registered supporters dramatically between 20 and 24. They lost 2.1 million voters. Republicans gained 2.4 million for a net gain of 4.5 million Republicans. So in my humble, advice to Gavin, he won't listen to me. He used to like me. Not sure what happened. I have a point. Results matter. A new performative, confrontational style. Maybe it wins you points with the loony radical base in your party, but America is not going to vote for that record. It's not going to fix the very real exodus from your state and from other Democratic states. And maybe you should focus on making people's lives better in your state.